Hello and welcome to Voices of Parenting podcast. I am so glad you're here. My name is Mussy Diskin. I am an advanced nurtured heart approach trainer. I am a parenting coach. I am also an inner wealth coach, which means that I help people rediscover and connect to the people that they truly were all along, but may have gotten forgotten along the way. So to find out more about me and what I offer, you can check out mussydiskin.com. I would love to connect and I would love to hear your feedback. Reach out to energizinghearts@gmail.com. Thank you for being here, and I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Hello, everybody. I'm back with a good friend, Yiska, who has been a colleague in this Nurtured Heart journey and who came to our CTI. If you remember, she did a podcast with me about CTI experience and came back as an advanced trainer, which was such a treat and a gift. And you're back again. Thank you, Yiska, for coming back to talk more generally and not that specific topic. So I love stories. I love people's stories. I love hearing what got them into Nurtured Heart and why this work is meaningful for them. And I was thinking that because last time we focused so much on the CTI, we could talk a little bit more about like your personal connection to Nurtured Heart. And I think the way that I want to play this question is sort of a little bit of devil's advocate. Like there's so much in the world that is not Nurtured Heart. And especially when it comes to the responsibility piece, like the responsibility as a teacher, the responsibility as a parent, you have to be responsible. You have to take care of things. You have to make sure that things change or get better. And you can't turn a blind eye. And Nurtured Heart is definitely something that you need to have a certain level of either connection with it or like commitment because of some sort of really hard situation to stick with. And you're someone who's stuck with it. You're someone who's been here and stayed. So I guess I want to ask you from that place of like, this doesn't make sense. This isn't normal. Why are you still here? Like, what about Nurtured Heart? Why is Nurtured Heart meaningful to you? Why is it something that you choose to subscribe to?
So the more that I read like Jewish parenting books, the more that I really saw just how in line Nurtured Heart is with the values that we sort of run our home by and the way that we raise our children and the way that I run my classroom. So that definitely like became a real anchor for me because it was not just like, oh, well, this is something that I see, makes kids feel good or it feels good to me to be positive and connected to kids and to like engage with them with this as the foundation. It became like, well, this is actually like I'm actually building something here that's in line with our values. So I guess that's really what has been the anchor for me.
I love that answer. And I think that's really meaningful to a lot of my audience, which is a lot of my audience is Orthodox Jews. And having that reflection from you, I think can be really meaningful. Can you talk more about like the values that you see aligned? Like what are those values?
So I don't know, there's a book called Spare the Child by Rabbi Jacobson. That's like, it's a thick book. It's not like a quick read. I guess it's almost more like a textbook of parenting. And it really is that Nurtured Heart is like the how to do something, like how to implement these abstract sort of concepts that Rabbi Jacobson talks a lot about in his books. And he does give practical examples, but Nurtured Heart is like so practical and so clear. And so it really lends itself to knowing, okay, so when Rabbi Jacobson is saying, one of the things that he points out is like, Nasa v'nishma is like we will do and we will hear, like what the Jewish people said at
Mount Sinai,
the giving of the Torah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
A little bit of Jewish history lesson here. Okay.
Okay. And so we will do and we will hear. So first the child does something and then they're ready to hear a reflection, like to hear us acknowledging what they did. So for example, if you see a child sharing, like that's the time to say you are sharing, you have good characteristics, you have
kindness,
you have like trying to like the word midos, like that's the time to and that's totally Nurtured Heart. Like when do we teach something? When it's going right, when it's already happening. So it's like it just feels like they click together so perfectly.
I just want to reflect on that for a second. That's such an interesting interpretation of that story where the Jewish people as a nation said to God, we will do first, and then we will hear. That he's saying sort of to extrapolate from that a parenting technique is to first have the child experience something experientially. I'm using the same word a lot of times, but that firsthand experience, and then
Hmm.
they can relate to the lesson because they're actually experiencing it.
Hmm.
That's for sure aligned and so interesting because I've never heard that
Hmm.
like lesson from the Torah value. Like I've never heard
Right.
that explained that way.
Yeah, it's another thing that he talks about is the issue with like external rewards and why like prizes or bribes or whatever are problematic. And he has a story of two different Tehillim groups. One is, I think, a boys group and one is a girls group. And the boys group, I don't know if I can remember all the details so clearly right now, but basically the boys group they're given prizes, and when the prizes are given out, it's like a big deal. Like the prizes are exciting and the focus is very much on the prizes. In the girls group, the teacher or the person running the Tehillim group gives out like a prize at the end, and it's just like, here's a treat, like have a good Shabbos kind of. But while she's giving out the prize, she's saying like, you said Tehillim, like God is so proud of you and you did such a good thing. And she's really like spending most of her energy in her like vocalizing why what the girls did was meaningful. So the prize is just like, like, okay, it's part of it, but it's not like the focus. So Rabbi Jacobson explains that that's the problem with the emphasis on prizes is that the child is not learning anything from receiving a prize. It actually takes away from the experience because the boys are just talking about the prizes and was it a good prize, was it not? They're not so motivated to say Tehillim, where the girls feel more inspired. I mean, I really paraphrase the story.
But I love that. I think that's so cool because I talk about this sometimes with parents where it's like, where do prizes fall in or where does, and it's like the difference is exactly what you described. Are we bribing kids to do things, which
Mm-hmm.
what's the meta message of a bribe? It's this thing isn't really worthwhile. You really
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't want to do this. There's really no reason why you would do this. So let me
Mm-hmm.
give you an exterior like an external reason to do it. I'll make it fun for you by giving you something good if you do it.
Mm-hmm.
That's like literally the message of a bribe is that you shouldn't do this if not
Right.
for my prize. Like it's a very dumb thing to do. It's a very boring thing
Right.
to do. It's a very like annoying thing to do. I'm literally giving them reason to believe that they are entitled to being rewarded because they shouldn't have had to do it when the thing that I'm asking them to do is something I care about. I want them to care about. I want them to
Mm-hmm.
appreciate even just like brushing their teeth, cleaning up after themselves, being a kind sister. Like even if we step away from religiousness for a minute, all things I'm trying to teach my kids, hopefully I can stand behind the value of them. Otherwise, why am I
Mm-hmm.
teaching it? And so I'm giving this message by bribing. I'm giving them this message like, yeah, there's not really any good reason for you to brush your teeth. Like you probably would never want to because there's really nothing to it. Instead, just do it and I'll buy it. I'll pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'll pay you for it. Whereas celebratory gifts, it's like, I'm not asking you to do this for a prize. Do it because it's amazing. But it's so amazing. Let's celebrate. Let's celebrate how
Right.
amazing it is. Like, I might even tell you beforehand, like, we talk in ADHD, there's this idea of like having some sort of motivation because just to get your
Mm-hmm.
brain charged, to get yourself excited. But it's not a bribe in the sense of like this is payment. This is like there's no reason to do this, but if you do it, I'll give you this because
Right. I think.
it's more of like after you get
Mm-hmm.
this done, it's such a good thing that you did it. We're going to celebrate
Mm-hmm.
together. Like, let's go get ice cream. Great. Why not? That's awesome. Here's a prize. You were so amazing. This is why. For sure. Why not? It adds to the positivity of the
Mm-hmm.
celebration of it. But it's celebrating something good versus buying something good.
Right. Rabbi Jacobson actually like specifically talks about like control versus chinuch or versus like raising your
Education.
children.
Yeah.
So we do need to use control sometimes, like because we need to function. It happens, but the question is, how is it done? Is it like you're saying the celebratory thing of like it goes along with saying the Tehillim and oh it's Shabbos so here's a Shabbos treat and like but or is it like you're doing this for the prize not because and even if a child is doing something and there is something positive that goes along with it that might be the main motivator for them, it doesn't mean that you can't connect to them and say like you said to Hillel, you gave up time on your Shabbos afternoon, you could have been playing and you came here and you said to Hillel, and that's amazing. Like
Yeah.
so.
And that word you use, that Hebrew word you use, the chinuch, it's the teaching. It's the education, it's the
Mhm.
lessons. So it's connecting the experience of maybe something really fun like having a lot of yummy treats at a religious program. So the religious program becomes fun because we're getting treats
Mhm.
but it's connecting, it's doing our part to make sure that there's lessons being learned, that this is a good thing you're doing. It's not just about the treats, it's about the
Right.
lesson that you're doing, and the
Exactly.
treats go along with it because it's so great that you're doing something so great.
Right. And I know, like, especially in the classroom, like I have such an aversion to, like, I
Sticker
don't know,
charts.
reward charts, and I can't as a teacher, I find it so overwhelming to remember, like, to keep track of, like, giving the whatever stickers on the sticker chart or whatever, and like that's not my focus. Like I'm focused on connecting to the children and not like. And anyway, so I started off the year as a permanent sub for a pre-1A boys class. I never taught boys before, and I usually taught kindergarten, which is a year younger. So it was like a huge, like, I just remember sitting in the class at the beginning being like, what am I doing? like I was used to teaching girls, so I was like, all like, yay, like, you listened right away. You're such a good listener. And they were like, why are you talking to me like a baby? So I had to like really adjust what they responded to and what felt valuable to them as like a recognition. But they were a very, like enthusiastic and excitable class, but it often crossed the line from like functional to like dancing around the classroom and singing. Not because like they weren't being like, they weren't misbehaving. They were just like
Rambunctious energy.
boys. Yeah. So I really did not want to like, like you have to function as in a classroom. Like you can't have boys dancing around and singing, even though it's beautiful and they're so excited for Simchas Torah coming up and dancing with the Torah. So I like made a competition between they sit in tables and they got points for like listening, following directions quickly, listening, whatever. Um, and the winner got extra time outside. Was very careful to explain to them that when we do our work quickly, we have more time to play. So at least it was like logical and it wasn't like completely arbitrary. And also that like I was intentional to make it a competition because I wanted them to all like to take responsibility together, to have this idea of like we sit at a table and if one boy is not listening and I like get and another boy starts not listening and gets up and starts dancing or whatever, like I wanted them to have responsibility for each other, that they should work together. Like, and I felt very proud of myself that I like brainstormed this idea because I felt so like I don't want to just bribe them because I really don't agree with it. And also I need to function and I need like, it's such a balance. So I think like it was positive and I was able to give them a lot of recognition for when they were listening, even though that maybe they were listening because they wanted to earn a point, but they were still listening. So that was important to me that I like, stayed grounded in that.
You brought the lesson in. You brought the lesson in and you made
Yeah.
it fun. You're like, we're going to do this fun, but we're doing it because it's important and it's good and we're going to make it fun. And also with the competition piece, what I love about that is that it's really it's that control versus like teaching piece of it's like giving it to them. It's putting their choices and their life into their hands where it's like, it's between you guys. I'm not like the teacher who's here, like, do it because I said so. Go get it. Go have fun. Like, let's have fun. Let's play a game. This is all like you guys, you prove that you can do it. It's making them feel a sense of, it's motivating them, but it's giving them a sense of like responsibility and ownership of their
Right.
choices.
And they're in control. If they didn't earn a point, I wasn't like, oh, too bad you didn't earn a
Right.
point.
There's no
Like, okay,
punishment. There's no
whatever, you
shame.
didn't. Like,
Yeah.
right. It was only focused on earning the points and
You can
celebrating
only
that.
earn, you can't lose.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Right,
There's
exactly.
actually
And
a point system in Nurtured Heart that isn't talked about because for many years it was pulled out of the book and then it was put back in the book. And it was pulled out of the
mhm,
book because it's so easy to slip into negativity. And it was put back in the
mhm.
book because if it's done right, it's very powerful. But the
And
idea that it's an opportunity, having something like that is an opportunity to remember to energize greatness and give recognitions.
mhm.
Like, let's talk about everything that's going right. Let's talk about everything that went right. Here's all the list of possibilities. Which ones happened? Because we need that sometimes.
And I think also I do think I see that like it erodes a child's sense of themselves when they're like always doing the wrong thing. Even if you're not being punitive about it. Even if you're not like, even if it's nurtured heart style, like they still, you can see it on their face. You see this, like,
Yeah.
and it takes a lot of maturity to know, like, I'm not going to do this fun thing because I'm going to feel bad about it afterwards. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of adults who can't do that. I
Yeah.
can't always do that. So
Yeah.
I feel very responsible as a teacher and a parent to set my kids up for success.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you hijack them
Yeah.
into success, and now you can energize that success and let them
Yeah.
own it.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. I mean, Howard has the story about a kid on medication that came to his office. The parents were saying that it's because of the medication that he's able to do all these things. And Howard's like, are you able, like, whatever his behaviors were, I'm making them up, but like, throwing things around or
Hmm.
racing in circles, or do you know how to race in circles? Like, if you wanted to, could you? And he's like, yeah, right. Like, could you hit me? Yeah. Could you make a mess? Yeah. You still could, right? You're still able to, right? So you're
Hmm.
not. So then you're choosing not to. So then it's still you. It's not the medication.
Hmm.
So, like, we need structure, we need spaces that kids can thrive, because if it's
Hmm.
they need that confidence. Success breeds confidence, confidence breeds success, and it's a cycle that keeps going.
Right, exactly.
We need to hijack
And
them into success, and we need to figure out
and
how to do that.
because the bottom line is that, like, a kid who's out of control, even in a classroom where there is a lot of positivity and it's not super punitive, and the out of controlness is like not sort of vilified, but ultimately we all need to function. So eventually the kid is going to get kicked out of the class.
We know what's normal behavior, and we know that we're
Yeah.
being, like, accepted unconditionally for our bad behavior when it's degrading. It's not respecting me enough to demand that I'm more. Like, what, you think I'm
Oh, for sure.
less than,
Yeah.
so then I don't have to? It's like holding boundaries and saying reset and sticking with rules is actually the deepest level of communicating trust and worthiness. You're worth
Hmm.
me fighting for more for you. I
Yeah.
believe you can do more.
It's so interesting that you say that because I was not the easiest teenager. And eventually, like, my parents, they sort of like gave up. I wasn't like the worst. I went to school every day or whatever, but I was just very independent and stubborn and strong-willed. They just didn't know what to do with me. And they basically just said, like, look, fine, like, you're gonna go do whatever you want anyway, so just go do it. And it was so painful.
Good, yeah. And that's the feeling.
Yeah. So
When you say, oh, everyone's running around the
I
classroom
totally,
dancing, let's just dance, then it's like, what, you don't think that we can learn? Like, you're just giving up on it? Like, kids don't want us to give up on
right. And that is such a fine line to walk because you have to be so in tune with what the kid really realistically can handle. There are kids who really can't sit still. It's very hard for them. You don't want to give up on them, and also you don't want to ask them to do something that they can't do.
it. It's so
Yeah.
tricky. And we want to be accommodating, and we want to not be, like, enabling or dismissing potential and possibility.
But I really, after I said that, I was even just thinking, I've seen like incredible growth over a school year where, like, even with kids who have like developmental disabilities, like who are, their speech is really hard to understand, or they're fine, like, they have a neurological issue, or like when you genuinely believe that a child can do something, like it's amazing to see that they can do it. At the beginning, you're not expecting them to run 100 miles, you're expecting them to walk 5 feet.
Yeah.
So I know I take it back to say that it's a fine line to walk because being in tune with that zone of growth, like that's like, to know how much to expect, not expect too much, adjust the expectations as the child becomes more capable. That's really,
That's
to
the
me,
goal.
the challenge. Like,
It's so fun to talk to you, Yiska, because you're so
you
comfortable and
too.
natural. We're just chatting. It feels like just so normal.
Yeah, it's so fun to talk to you also. I mean, it's as much as you feel like it's comfortable and natural, I feel like talking to you is like, that's why it's comfortable and natural because you're
Oh,
just
it's a lot of fun
so
for me.
open-minded and yeah.
Well, thank you for that. I'll
So,
own it. I want to know if people can want to connect with you or hear more about your experiences or your wisdom,
sure.
or just connect if that's a possibility. How should they go about that?
My email address is Munsey, like Monsey, nurtured heart at gmail.com.
I love your email address.
I occasionally I give nurtured heart classes. So I have a nurtured
That's
heart
very
email.
good to know. Okay. Listen to that, guys. If you need a Nurtured Heart class, reach out to Yiska. Okay. Well, thank you for being here, and see you all next time.
Thank you.
Hey, wait, don't go yet. Take a minute to find the beautiful quality that you have, that you appreciate about yourself.